everybody, Tara with Vacations by Tara, and I'm here with one of my clients. This is Alex. Alex just got back from an amazing trip. I was following it on social media and I loved seeing all the pictures. So, Alex, tell us where you went.
So we went to Egypt and we went all over Egypt. It was a great packed trip, and we felt like we really got to see pretty much everything that we had read about or learned about growing up and wanted to go over and see and be a part of. So yeah, it was incredible.
So, you guys were my first clients to Egypt. And I have to admit, I was a little worried. And when Bear first approached me about it, I kind of didn't want to do it. I was a little nervous about it. And then I just really did some research to make sure that I felt comfortable with it because, if it's someplace I really I'm feeling comfortable with, I won't book people to that. So
Sure.
I did some research. So tell me about, were you worried at all before you went?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I mean, anytime that you go somewhere where you don't speak the language, and especially where the language isn't even the same alphabet that we use, like that's pretty intimidating, honestly, because you don't know if you're really going to be able to navigate very well or get around. And I think the thing that kind of started to alleviate that a little bit was when you sent us our plan that you had put together, and each thing said, oh, there's a car that will take you and there's a pickup time or whatever. So we were like, okay, there's a plan for us to get to each of these activities. So that helps a little bit alleviate. It's like, all right, so somebody knows where we need to be. But I think that the thing, and I don't know if you even realized this when you were putting it together and working with the agencies there, but the thing that really made us feel incredibly safe and taken care of, we were never alone unless we were scheduled for an activity. So like the when we got to the airport, we walked around like two hallways, and there was a line of in business suits with signs waiting for people from different travel companies or having their last names. Okay, yeah. So we went around two hallways, and there was a line of men in suits. They had signs with different travel company names or different traveler names, waiting to get meet those people, and then that person took you through the airport so that there was no incidents with anything. They communicated with customs and security, and then just kind of had us show our passports, and we went through super smoothly. When we got outside the airport, he introduced us to essentially our Cairo liaison, who rode with us in the car to the hotel, and then he took care of talking to the people at the hotel to make sure we got checked in okay. He walked with us up to our room to make sure that we got to our room okay, and then he said, okay, I'll be back here in the morning to introduce you to your tour guide for your activity tomorrow, which is going to the pyramids and etc. And then he was there in the morning to introduce us and make sure that we got, with the right person. And everything was like that. So if we had an activity scheduled, there was someone either introducing us to the person that we were going to be with, or I think that night after our pyramid activity, we had a little dinner on the Nile, and Timo, who was our Cairo liaison, he took us to that himself. So we didn't have a time, like I said, where if we didn't have an activity planned, then there was somebody with us, and they take it so super seriously. He was telling us, like, basically he's responsible for us when we are in Cairo, and so he wants to make sure that nothing happens to us and that we have a great experience. So we felt really super taken care of and super safe, and it just made everything so much easier because we knew there was always going to be somebody who was able to communicate whatever needed to happen.
Right. Because I know in our pre-travel call, I was kind of warning you of some of the common scams that they have over there. And one is, they get you up on a camel in front of the pyramids, and then they either want to charge you more, they want to charge you a lot more money, or, whatever. So did you have any problems with any of that because you had a guide with you most of the time?
Like that was, I think, even
the other amazing thing, because so we had our official guide for that excursion, and he said, okay, this is kind of what's included. You can do these extra things. So if you want to go to this, the panorama spot, which is where you can see all of the pyramids, he said you do have to ride a camel, and that is extra. So if you want to do that, then he said, here's how much it is, and I'll go talk to the get the tickets or whatever, essentially. So he took care of all that. We said, you know what? Yeah, we want to do that. That seems like a great experience. So he went and he talked to, I assume, a group of folks with camels that they normally work with, and said, okay, here you go. And so we rode over with that little guy, and he took us around and then brought us back no problem. So, and I think it was using the tour guides like that too. There were so many other things that you don't think about that he would also mention. So like when we stopped at some different places, he would say, oh, and the restroom here is nice and clean, like if you guys need to use it or anything. And so that was really nice, because one of the other things we had talked about was the public restroom situation may be a little bit iffy. And I think the only thing that we ran into is like a lot of places did not have toilet paper, but I had come prepared because we had talked about it. But since we were there with our guide and he would tell us, every restroom that we used was really nice and either had a restroom attendant or it was just one that was really clean because it was in a good place.
Yeah, very, sometimes I need that when I'm driving across the country. Driving down to Florida, I need somebody to tell me which bathrooms are good. You never know.
I need to add that into the maps thing. Stop here. Use the restroom.
Yes. I used to drive down to see my mom a lot in Florida, and so I had them down. I had
Right.
the
Yep.
perfect ones down. It's but yeah. So what was the most amazing thing you did?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if there's like one. There's just so, because we did so much. But I will say, like, I think that everybody grows up knowing about the pyramids and the Sphinx, and going to see that, and especially getting to see it first, like, you just really, you don't understand how much you don't comprehend the size of them. And so just being there, and then riding the camel out and being able to see them all kind of lined up. And I think after that it was just like, it doesn't matter if anything else happens on this trip.
It's all just icing, right?
Yeah.
So and how was food?
Oh my gosh, it was so good. I think the only thing I would maybe caution people on is it is a little bit heavier. Like several of our activities had meals included, which was great. It was super easy. Like we were on the Nile cruise for 3 nights.
Mhm.
And so all of our meals were on the boat, which was great. They had a whole kitchen team. It was pretty much all buffets, and they would make something for each meal. It's a pretty kind of Indian palette.
Mhm.
So um, lots of meats and spices. They had rice with pretty much everything. I'm trying to think if there's anything else kind of. We tried some falafel. They had a lot of fish. We tried a lot, like especially on the boat. We tried as much as we could whenever they had the buffet. So we would just get like a little bit of
Yeah.
everything, and just because that was the fun part about that. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit heavier. So you just kind of like, if you're not used to anything like that, be a little bit careful, and maybe a little bit more difficult if you tend to eat like vegetarian or something. But I know there are options. You probably just have to ask.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you had a private guide with you, everything, everywhere. It sounds like a luxury trip.
Oh my
It
gosh, yeah.
sounds like really high-end luxury trip because that's what they're like. You don't often go places where you have a private guide with you most of the time.
Right.
So how would you say how was the pricing? Was the pricing luxury?
Honestly, it was, I think it was a lot less than what I expected it to be. When you gave us the total, it was, I think I was probably expecting like 5,000 a person without plane tickets, and it was less than 3 a person, I think. If I remember, I can't remember
Yeah,
right, but it was like maybe 2.5.
yeah, that was before the airfare. But I just remember I sent it to you guys, and you're all like, "Wait, what?" Because you were going next year. You guys were going to go next year, and when you saw the price, you're like, "No, let's go."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was like, that's that's a total Usenet, right? For both of us, all of us, everything.
Yes.
The plane tickets, because I had asked you if you would mind just checking for us to go out of Dallas, because we live in Arkansas and usually plane tickets from here add like $300 or $400 onto the trip. And you checked both of them and it was like $10 more to just fly straight out of Little Rock. So like overall, the pricing was unbelievable for the trip that we had, because yeah, we had a private tour, private guide, like of everything. It was just us. And so super amazing.
So, was there any point that you felt uncomfortable or anything?
I don't think so. Honestly, like everyone was really just amazing, and being a I know you're gonna edit this, so I don't know. I'll say this and you can decide if you want to put whatever. But being a queer couple, like obviously, Egypt is a very conservative country. It's a majority Muslim. Hardly anybody over there has tattoos. I have a lip piercing. Like that's not something that is very common at all over there. But we did our best to kind of take a look before at what was appropriate dress, and we talked about it as well, and just to keep from getting unwanted attention. And I think that there was nothing where anybody was ever rude to us or aggressive or looking at us, in a weird way. Like I mean the most aggressive that anything was is the people that are out trying to sell stuff, and you're just like you just have to like not pretend like they're not there, but that's just what you know what I mean? So no, like all of our guides were incredible. And I think there was even one time out at the pyramids that there was a little guy that started following us around because our guide had gone off to take care of the camel stuff. And he came back and he was like, he said something to him and was like, go away, like leave him alone, because he was getting a little bit too close. So yeah, no, like honestly, like they all take their job so seriously and they want you to have an amazing, safe, wonderful time because of how important tourism is to their economy. Once you go home and tell people to come visit. So
Well, and I have to say, it's never been huge on my list of places to go. And my husband has wanted to go for years. And he was like, I want to take a cruise in and just like one day the museum and the pyramids and go out. And then after he heard you talking about it when you did your Facebook Live, I
yeah.
played that for him and he's like, yeah, we gotta go.
you know we saw so many temples on the cruise, and I think that even if it's not something that you have spent a lot of time in your life like reading about or anything like that, just to be in that place where it's like this is where civilization started, and you are seeing all of these things that are just unreal to be built now, and they're still standing from thousands of years ago, and just the sheer size of some of this stuff. And it's just, I think it was a very humbling and a very like perspective shifting experience. So I think like if it's something that you have the opportunity to do, absolutely do it.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up being a queer couple because honestly, that was my big hesitation with this.
Sure.
When you look up places that are not LGBTQ friendly, Egypt's top of the list. And our mutual friend Bear was the one that came to me with it. And I was like, I was sending her articles about how it's not safe. And she finally said, it's not safe here.
I mean, she's not wrong.
And so then I really did some more research and I read some things by queer couples and people who had traveled in the community, and they were like, we felt fine, we felt completely safe, traveled all over, and there were no problems. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to take this on.
I think that some people maybe the times that you would maybe come into a problem is if you don't go into that country understanding that you need to be respectful of where they are,
Mhm.
just religion. You know, we didn't really get real affectionate in public, and it's just like we were on vacation. We just wanted to learn and enjoy, and and not attract anything that was unwanted, knowing that it could be a little bit questionable there. So I think if you go over there and you think I'm going to wear rainbows and just kiss my boyfriend, like, it probably will cause some problems with folks. But just it's just a respect thing. You're going into their country, and just save that for your time in the hotel, and just kind of cover up the tattoos a little bit, and just try to be respectful of the fact that that's where they're at.
Well, and in many countries you visit, whether it's a queer couple or a straight couple, they don't want to see public displays of affection.
Absolutely.
We were in Thailand and we had to really, I researched before we went, because that is the respectful thing to do when you're traveling, is research what their customs are. And, we couldn't touch each other at all when we were in temples. And so, you just, when you are traveling, those are things you have to learn, along with the common scams for the area, some other things that it helps, because I researched that for you and we talk about it if you haven't. So would you recommend people go, or would you like to go back?
I would absolutely recommend people go. It's like, I mean, like I said, it really was just life changing. And I think that we will probably not really ever really fully be able to just like comprehend the whole trip, just because it was so amazing. I don't know if we would go back, but that's only because there are so many more places that I would like to see. If money and time were no object, absolutely. It was a beautiful experience, and we made friends with our guide. The one we had for the cruise, he was also on the cruise, so we were with him for 3 days. So he was really enjoyed him, and getting to know him, and spending that time. So they're all like, come back and come back and see us, and it's like, yeah, like we can just hop on a plane and jump over here.
Well, and I'm of the kind of Anthony Bourdain school of travel. Is I like to meet the local people. I don't, sometimes it's nice to go to an all-inclusive resort and just kind of stay there and not explore and do things, or on a cruise. But meeting the local people, it gives you appreciation for how alike we all are,
Yes.
despite the religion, despite the, different countries. We're
Yeah.
all alike, and we all
Yeah.
want the same things. We all, need the same things, and it just changes your perspective sometimes.
Yeah, I think a good trip for that.
All right. Well, Alex, thank you very much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. So, to my viewers here, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to come up with more content from clients. I have sales reps from different resorts, different companies coming to talk to us. So, stay tuned. If you want a topic, to me to cover a topic, whether it's a destination, a resort, or something like that, just leave a comment for me. Thanks everybody for listening. All right.